42-17, Colorado falls to Arizona State here at Folsom Field. Brian, it really comes down to the fact that Colorado was not able to take advantage of turnovers in this football game, and Arizona State only gets one takeaway. The next play, Brown goes 88 yards, and so they actually outscored Colorado in terms of points off turnovers tonight.
Yeah, and that sequence right there, I thought, kind of epitomized this season for the Buffs. I mean, there you are, you're going in to potentially take the lead in this game. You end up fumbling it, and within two plays, you're not only not leading, but you're down 2 scores now, and it's almost lights out at that point. And odd personnel decision. It's one of the weirder personnel decisions I've seen all these years covering CU, and it's nothing against Ronald Coleman. It's just look, yeah. you got. There's no way to say it without trying to make it sound bad towards Ronald Coleman, but you got Dallin Hayden and Michael Welch running the ball really well in this game, and that's the time that you choose to have your converted walk-on wide receiver have his first career touch. And he did bust through and get a few yards out of it, but he gets hit and fumbles, and man, you're going in. I mean, you're at the ASU 26-yard line at the start of that play. There's a real shot you're going to go in and maybe take the lead there. So I thought that was one of the weirder personnel decisions. Coach Prime said that was on him. He made that call. He thought that it'd be a change of pace. I don't know what a change of pace from. I mean, like I said, Hayden and Welsh were running pretty well tonight, and so I thought that was just a weird one. And it's hard to say one play because they didn't. It's not like they played a phenomenal game otherwise, but that play really changed the complexion. That followed by the Raleek Brown 88-yard touchdown really changed the complexion of this game.
Yeah, it was perplexing for sure. And again, you're only going to attack a walk-on so much, and that's why Deion Sanders had to take the blame there. He's got to kind of take this one on the chin because the optics of that decision are really, really bad. So unfortunate because you'd like for the young man to be able to capitalize on that opportunity, but it's kind of just coaching malpractice to put him in that position to begin with.
Yes, and honestly, I thought, just off the top of my head, I think the Hayden-Welch combo was the best 1-2 running back combination we've seen from this offense in a long time, would you say?
Yeah.
There's been times where even last year, like Isaiah Augusta would have a nice game or whatever. Mm-hmm. Dallin Hayden's had a few nice games, and Michael Welch, but to have 2 guys running like those guys were, that's the first time I've seen that in a long time. And so to go with somebody different, and even Draylon Miller was running the ball okay when he was in there. So just kind of weird. It wasn't the reason they lost, but it certainly changed this game tonight.
Didn't quite see the jump from his first start to his second start that Colorado fans wanted to see out of Julian Lewis. He looked a little bit more rattled. There were still some really impressive plays in there, but generally this was kind of a step back for him. I felt like tonight.
Yeah, and
not a big one, but a small one.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think that's okay. He is a true freshman. That's a better defense than he faced last week or 2 weeks ago at West Virginia. It just is. The ASU traditionally is a pretty solid defense, and he got sacked 7 times at West Virginia. So, but that was a better defense. Number 95, I'm blanking on his name. We heard his name so often in the press box. He was just. It's like he was. His job tonight was make life hell for Julian Lewis because he absolutely did. Whether it was chasing after him, batting down passes, whatever, he was on him all night long. And so, it was a step back, but I think that's okay. You need these experiences. I remember talking to Shador at Big 12 Media Day going into the 2024 season and asked him about 23 and all the trials, things like that. And he said, I'm glad I went through it because I've never had to go through that before, and that helps me grow. Yeah, I think the same is probably true for Julian. He may not want to feel that way right now, but in the long run, experiences like this are going to help him become a better quarterback. And I asked him sort of about that, and he said, "Look, there's nothing like live reps. He's going to grow from this." And so it was a step back, but he'll be okay, I think.
Said he's committed to being a Buff, that he plans to stay here. Was not quite as committal on whether he's going to play the 5th game and not redshirt. I would imagine most likely, but it was kind of confusing, I felt like.
Well, I asked him after West Virginia if he thought about it. He was very adamant, no, I'm not going to. And asked him again tonight, and I don't remember his answer, but it was something like, there's a lot more that goes into it. That basically said he has to think about it. It's a big decision. And especially, look, they're 3-8 right now. There's really nothing to play for. Do you want to go out there and play one more game and burn this year because of that game out in Kansas, out in Manhattan, Kansas? And so, yeah, he left the door open to redshirting, and so we'll see. It's going to be another week. How many weeks have we had of who's going to be your starting quarterback this week? And it looks like we may have that again this week.
Connected with Omarion Miller again. Omarion Miller continues to be this experience week to week. Drops what would have been a really long game early in the game, and sometimes that could have maybe get Juju going a little bit early on. But he comes back like he usually does and makes a big play. It's kind of like a microcosm of this team. Just the consistency just is not there in many spots. And then one spot where you've had consistency this year has been Tawfiq Byard as a playmaker on the back end of that secondary, and he goes down. And I think that was a big moment in this football game as well when he got injured. It looked like with a shoulder ailment.
Yeah, Coach Prime said he doesn't think anything's broken, so he'll be okay. Okay is different than saying he's going to play next week. Again, for a lot of these guys, there's decisions to make whether they want to play next week or not, whether it's worth it or not. If Byard is banged up, it may not be worth it. But Omarion Miller, it is interesting. I mean, he's super talented. I mean, he's got next level talent in my opinion, but it's things like the drops, like the penalties, stuff like that I hope he's not thinking about going to the NFL yet, because I think those things are going to hold him back from being wanted yet at the next level. He's got to come back, I think, next year and have a year where he cuts that stuff out, and it's just the big plays, and he blocks better, and doesn't have the penalties and the drops, things like that. And so there's definitely a level he can get to, but I think we got to see that next year.
Remember back in August we were talking about how deep that defensive line group is? Munsterteiger Amani played quite a bit of football out there tonight, a converted offensive lineman in that group. It's crazy how that position has been just ravaged this season.
Yeah, and it is crazy because I'm watching them warm ups. I'm like, all right, there's Tawfiq Thomas in sweats. There's Amari McNeil in sweats. Gabriel Lightfoot's been out all year. Tavian Coleman. It is crazy. I mean, there's times where they got. It's all defensive ends on the front, because you got Quincy Wiggins has converted a little bit. There's a lot of converted players playing in different spots right now. I mean, this game tonight, you had Isaiah Hard, who's a receiver, playing corner. You had Munsterteiger, who's an offensive lineman, playing defensive line. You have Ronald Coleman, who's been a receiver, playing running back.
Hodge, who's been a nickel back, playing safety.
Yeah. Draylon Miller, who's been a receiver, playing running back. So you got guys playing different positions. That, again, is another story of this team, is that not quite the depth there. And Coach Prime sort of addressed that a little bit. Like they've got to look at some things, going forward. And it's a lot of vague answers from him as far as, like, the future. But I get it. He doesn't want to tip the hand and say, this is exactly what we're doing. He's still got some people he's got to, work with here over the next few weeks. And he is a guy that, I think in a lot of ways, especially with his staff, he doesn't want to throw people under the bus. But certainly he said it. He goes, changes are going to be made, and changes are being made.
And there's got to be substantial changes, too.
Yeah.
Because this fan base is getting a little restless right now.
Yeah.
And I get it, man. You just haven't been able to build off successful seasons around here. And it's you're just so starved as a fan base to have back-to-back seasons you can be proud of.
Yeah, it's really – you think about senior day last year and, honoring Shador and Shiloh and Cam and Craig. And even though he wasn't a senior, we all knew it was Travis's last game here. And just the electric atmosphere here, for that Oklahoma State game last year. And they win, was it 52-0? And then you look at this year's senior day, and it's by far the lowest attendance of the Coach Prime era by about 5,000. In the fourth quarter, this team gave these fans plenty to cheer for in the first three quarters. Like, oh, we might have a shot to win here, upset the number 25 team in the country, and then by the middle of the fourth quarter, everybody's like, I'm out, and this place was empty again. It was kind of sad.
Just even campus before the game was a lot quieter, and I know part of that is that you've got students off campus. That is probably a big part of it, but there just wasn't the buzz that you usually feel on a game day around here.
There wasn't the fans walking around, the couple blocks before the stadium that you usually see and things like that. And so, yeah, the buzz is gone. Coach Prime, he's got to figure out a way to get that back here, because that was that's the part of the promise when he was hired 3 years ago, right? Was not only the wins, but the buzz and making them relevant again. Here we are at the end of year 3. They're 3-8, and it's a fairly irrelevant football team right now. And so there's a lot that has to be done over the next several weeks.
26 players were honored on senior night. 8 of them are walk-ons. One of the scholarship guys that walked was DJ McKinney. Now he is in his 4th year of college, and from the way I understand it, they kind of give these guys the option if they want to walk, right? Because Ben Finnesteth told us just days ago that he's coming back, and he walked and was recognized on senior night.
Yeah, I think some of these guys, they choose to walk because they haven't made their decision yet, and they may not want to miss out on a senior day. It's like DJ McKinney, he's got some choices to make. I mean, he's got pro potential. He didn't play like it all the time this year, but is he a guy that transfers? Is he a guy that puts his name in the draft? Is he a guy that's just unsure and decides to come back? And so he's one that when you look at the list of guys that walked, you're like, no, please stay. Because he's one. I know he didn't have a great year, but I think he's one of those guys that you want to build this defense around next year if you can.
Yeah, you want DJ McKinney back in this program, even though he didn't live up to our expectations this year. Well, one more, Brian. On the road after Thanksgiving to Manhattan, Kansas, and Kansas State played a pretty good football game out at Utah today. Almost won that game.
Doesn't it seem like every time the Buffs are about to play somebody, they have a great game and gain some momentum, really, right before they play the Buffs? Yeah. I thought K-State was going to get killed out in Salt Lake City, and they lost the football game, but they were winning it most that game, and now it's maybe a little scarier for the Buffs, because not only did they look good, but they still need that 6th win, and what they need to do is beat this Buffs team that, again, we're going to go in questioning, like, what motivation do they have? Are they going to play like they played in the first half and give themselves a shot, or is it going to look like Arizona and you're kind of packing it in early?
I think we're going to find out very quickly in that football game. All right, we'll be back with more analysis next week.